Hello, Kuman229 here with another Topic of the Week video, and this week I'll be talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender. This week's topic was submitted by Tumblr user musicalmarch, and their topic is Aang unlocking his last chakra through a rock. Make sense or no? Does it hinder his character since he didn't learn how to open this and become a fully realized avatar until the last second from a rock? Okay, first off, I do want to establish that Aang did learn how to open his chakras from his training with the Guru. He did it, and he had a stumbling block at the end, because he did all the training. He got the end where he had to let go of his feelings for Qatar, because they were telling him you have to completely let go of all attachments, period. And then Aang's like, I can't do that. And they're like, well, then you don't get to control the avatar state. And he's like, guess I'll die. And then at the end of book 2, during the finale, he does that. He starts letting go, and that's the whole point. It's one of the biggest things at the book 2 finale was where Aang, covers him in crystals, helps him crystal, and he basically meditates, and then he goes through and he basically does the last bit that he needs to do in order to go into the avatar state and have be able to have some sort of control over it. And then Azula's just like bam as he's going into the avatar state and shoots him right in the back. Had it not been for Katara healing him, Aang would be dead. So, the problem after that is that Aang physically just can't do it. He can't just use the avatar state like he was about to, because he's got the injury from the lightning bolt. Now, it's been a while since I've watched all of the show, but I do remember that the thing about it getting hit was specifically that he got hit on his, on the scar where he got hit by Azula, and that was supposed to be the jump start at the avatar state. I recently rewatched I think I rewatched the finale last week, so I remember watching that, particularly when watching the final battle with Ozai where Aang does get hit there. I always find it kind of funny that everyone always focuses on the lion turtle. Oh, the lion turtle's a Deus Ex Machina. And I've talked about why I didn't feel like the lion turtle is the actual Deus Ex Machina, mostly because he didn't just come in and solve. The lion turtle didn't come in and beat Ozai for Aang, and he didn't give Aang just an instant win ability. It actually was going into the greater, the whole greater, plot point about is Aang going to kill or not, and what will Aang have to do in order to not kill Ozai. And it was ultimately Aang using his powers that he was given to not kill. And it was Aang putting a lot on the line. Now, in terms of the spirit rock acupuncture, that I would probably classify more as a Deus Ex Machina, because I don't quite remember them ever establishing, a physical solution to, Aang's getting hit with the lightning bolt. But that is, they show it specifically hitting that spot, so that I guess that's supposed to be, it's supposed to be showing it hits him there, and it was alright, so you got a little bit of physical blockage there, and go, alright, you're good. And then that's when the avatar state activates, and then Aang ends up winning the fight with Ozai. Because, Aang went into that fight without the avatar state. He went into it, against Ozai, powered up by Sozin's Comet, and was about to lose. Now, watching the fight, I do want to say that one of the things that I felt it was very emotionally satisfying to watch that. Even if the writing was it's a bit on the edge. I wouldn't consider this outright bad, because it's all set up, and it's that one spot that he got hit and then he couldn't do the avatar state. It's emotionally satisfying after that fight. Aang puts up a good fight against Ozai. But, ultimately Ozai is just a more powerful firebender, hopped up, with his space rock steroids for his firebending. So, Ozai was going to win until Aang did the Avatar state, and the Avatar state is treated with, as it always is in Avatar: The Last Airbender, with all the immense and incredible power from the previous avatars So then Aang ends up, he pushes Ozai back, and then you have, it's like from a battle sense, like from the, from looking at it from the perspective of, how exciting the battle is and how it's set up. It's set up very well. You have the hero and the villain are going back and forth, and then when the hero is pushed back, he comes back and for his heroic victory, only for him to stop and pull back and deactivate the Avatar state, saying that he wasn't going to kill Ozai. And he had several chances to kill Ozai, like when Ozai shot lightning at him and he redirected lightning. He could have fired that right back, and that was Sozin's comet-powered lightning. And you saw when he shot it off into the sky, it was just huge, like just storm of lightning from Aang. Aang could have killed Ozai. There's no way he could have dodged that. But he didn't. He wasn't going to. And this is why he eventually goes and does the energy bending that he got from the lion turtle. Now, yes, Aang didn't learn anything immediately. He already learned what he needed to do. He had already accomplished what he needed to do, and the rock was just the physical help that he needed. But is it convenient? Oh, hell yes, it's convenient. Is it a little too convenient? Just the right moment when Aang is being pushed and about to lose? Yeah. It's definitely convenient, and this is why I would probably classify it as a bit of a Deus Ex Machina. But not enough to ruin the show. Like, here's the thing. I can take a little bit of BS in a good story. I can take a little bit of convenience. As long as the rest of the story is great, a little bit of stumbling, a little bit of a few mistakes, I can handle. Because I don't know if I've talked about this much, but I always have a threshold for my criticism threshold is that, you have like a point of where I'll just get fed up to the point where I can't enjoy something. And it's like, okay, so there's something dumb, and there's something dumb, and there's something done. And if it doesn't reach that line, then I'm not going to just go out and criticize it. I'll point the stuff out, but I'm not going to say it's bad. I mean, you had something like The Force Awakens or The Last Jedi, and it hits that pretty quickly. But for something like Avatar: The Last Airbender, it has enough great writing in it and enough goodwill built up through the show that, okay, they can end it with a little bit of convenience. Is it as satisfying for Aang to get the energy bending without the lion turtle? Like, if they had established the concept of the lion turtle more, we've seen bits of it throughout the show, but if we had established that more, it wouldn't have felt as out of left field. And, I mean, maybe if they spend, I'll have to rewatch all of Book 3 in order to, really look at if they discussed anything about his injury that might have helped, that might have been a lead up. But I don't remember there being much of anything. But even just going with that, I don't really think it's that much of a Deus Ex Machina. And, I know what the Ask is talking about is that he did suddenly, boom, Avatar state when he got hit. But Aang did learn. Aang already learned everything. Aang already accomplished, all the training and the requirements to, gain control of the Avatar state. It was a big moment in Book 2, cut short by Azula. So Aang is just stuck like that and having to do all of his, trying to finish things in Book 3. Ultimately, he's not quite able to until the very end. Now, I can talk a lot about this, but there's a bit of emotional satisfaction that needs to come from writing. And yeah, you can't always gauge everything, but generally, if you're writing something, you have to be able for it to be satisfying for the audience. And watching the finale again, seeing Aang finally get the Avatar state, and just when Ozai's about to hit him, and just casually, bam, and he grabs up, he grabs, Ozai's, goatee or his beard, and he grabs him, and he just boom blocks the shot. That's satisfying. So, while the writing in and of itself is a little too convenient, because let's be honest, as much as I love Avatar: The Last Airbender, that bit in the finale was a little too convenient. But overall, it's like when you look at, the episode, The Divide. Everyone hates the episode. But does that episode ruin everything? No. Book 1's still really good. I mean, even at the end of Book 1, where you have Aang, getting with the ocean spirit and turning into Koizilla. A bit convenient, and when you really think about it, there are some conveniences in, all the season finales in some way, shape, or form. The only bit that's less so is Book 2, but that's mainly because it ends up being in the opposite direction when Zuko ends up siding, against the gang and ends up siding with the Azula and helps defeat them. So he turned into a spanner in the works there. But for the most part, the writing of Avatar: The Last Airbender is so good. Overall, you have some stumblings there, you have some mistakes, you have some things that are probably a little iffy, but for the most part, everything's so solid that I can accept a little bit of convenience at the end. And, I mean, because if everything else was just mediocre, then I'd be complaining about this ending. But the build-up and everything is so good, and despite the fact that Book 3 overall I would say probably isn't as good as Book 2, I still really love Book 3, and there's still some really great episodes. I mean, we get the Ember Island Players, the Boy on the Rock Part 1 and 2, we get Sokka's Master, we get the Headband, you get the Day of the Black, the Invasion of the Black Sun. You have Aang, learning the firebending. You have Aang, the life-changing field trips with Zuko. You get Aang, learning the origins of fire, like the true, source of firebending. And it's all very satisfying. And at the end, alright. It's I think we all just need to concede, this isn't a flawless show. But it's pretty darn good. And that's the one thing that's really great about Avatar: The Last Airbender, is that you can look at its flaws objectively and point out the flaws objectively, and it doesn't ruin the show. Book 3 ends with some convenience. The lion turtle could have been set up better. The rock spirit acupuncture probably could have been set up. I mean, really, there's just a few things that you need to do to set it up. And I'm sure that they kind of got to the end and realized that they needed something to happen. But considering how good the rest of the show is, a convenient ending that gives us the satisfying ending to the fight where Aang refuses to kill Ozai, puts himself on the line to debend Ozai so that he can spare his life, but in the war, where Zuko and Katara end up defeating Azula, and Zuko becomes the Fire Lord. Aang is his fully realized avatar. Because he had done all his training, it was just... And, he was ready, prepared to go against the Fire Lord without the avatar state. Even though he had done all the training and was stuck physically unable to do it. Aang ends up, unlocking the avatar state, becoming a fully realized avatar, getting with Katara. Zuko's back with Mai. Sokka's with Suki. Everyone's happy in the very end. And... that's satisfying, and honestly, watching the finale again, the four-parter, Sozin's comment, I think it's 4-parter, yeah, but watching that again, it's satisfying. It's a satisfying conclusion. The only plot thread they leave hanging is Zuko's mother. Too bad they never got around to answering that. But that bit at the end, with the convenience... even taking that at its worst, with absolutely no narrative setup, with absolutely nothing, we could look at that and say, that was too convenient, but dang, I was satisfied. And you can sacrifice a little bit of narrative cohesion in a really good story. I mean, if the rest of Avatar: The Last Airbender's writing wasn't as good as it is, this narrative convenience wouldn't fly. But the writing is good, and, I'll cut slack to really good writers. I'll cut slack to really good writing on occasion. And, this is that occasion. So, the main thing about this is just that it's convenient that Aang got hit in just the right way, in just the right time, that he can come back from his assured defeat to claim victory over Ozai. But it's satisfying, and it's a great fight. A lot of people I've seen people bag on the fight of Aang and Ozai. I mean, yes, okay, Zuko versus Azula can be more satisfying. it is, satisfying and even terrifyingly sad to see Azula's complete breakdown and crying at the end. More so than it is it's narratively satisfying to see this, that plot thread come to its end. Maybe a bit more so than Aang defeating the Fire Lord, but even though that was basically said it from the beginning. But that doesn't mean it's not good. And in a great fight, a little bit of convenience, I mean, I can accept that. And, and even looking at it more critically, I still think it's fine. That's just one of those things that, in hindsight, they'd probably go back and fix. But what's done is done, and the show is great. And I don't think that narrative convenience at the end of the show in the big final battle, I don't think that's bad enough to sour really anything in the show. And even in the way it's set up, or the way it's structured, the way the fight is structured at the end with Aang and Ozai, it's actually a really satisfying fight. So even then, the narrative missteps at the end are still made up for by it being an exciting fight that's well set up and well done. So no, I don't really think it's I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think it's so awful, and I really don't. And yeah, Aang learned everything that he needed to, and Aang had accomplished everything he needed to, and he just got the physical push by chance, yes. There was nothing that Aang specifically did that set that up, but I can let that slide in good writing. I wouldn't let this stuff slide in Legend of Korra because, well, the writing's not good. And this isn't even anything on the level of the Jinora Ex Machina from Book 2 of Legend of Korra. So, really, it's like fairly minor problems in an otherwise fantastic show do stick out a little bit more. Because we're used to such a high standard that when we get moved down to here a bit, even for one moment, there's something that feels off there. Whereas Legend of Korra, you're starting off here, and you end up lower. But yeah, so I don't think it's really a problem. It's something that if I was doing it, if I had to change just a couple things, that would be one of the things I would change, at least just a bit of the setup for it. Because you don't really need to do much, but I'm fine with Avatar The Last Airbender being the way it is without any changes whatsoever. Because overall, it's just a wonderfully, amazingly written show. Well, I think that about sums it up for today. If you want to submit a topic to me, you can either comment below if you're on YouTube, or send me an ask if you're on Tumblr, and do topic : and then whatever topic you want me to talk about. Just make sure to follow the rules that I'll be posting down below. If you want to watch last week's topic video, you can check that out here. If you want to watch next week's topic video, you can check that out here when I get that done. And thank you for watching.